Lord God. That you, Lord God, would get the glory, Lord God. In the name of Jesus. Grace and peace be unto you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ.
Grace and peace be unto you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ.
Give honor to God, the head of our life.
Amen.
The Holy Spirit that is in this place. I want to give honor to our prophet, Pastor Emmanuel Renee. Give honor to our assistant pastor, LaShawn Renee. And give honor to all ministers, deacons, upcoming brothers and sisters of the Lord. Amen. Praise the Lord. We're going to jump right into the word. So we can turn our Bibles to 1 Corinthians. Lord, have your way. Y'all bear with me. 1 Corinthians chapter 2. Verses 14 through 16. The natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. But the spiritual person judges all things, but is himself to be judged by no one. For who has understood the mind of the Lord so as to instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. You may be seated. My topic for consideration on tonight is the prosperous mentality of sons. And we have to understand that where God is taking us, even with sonship, that the true sons of God, you have to be able to walk with the mind of Christ. We already have it. It's not something that we're trying to obtain. It's already something that was given unto us. And you have to be able to spiritually discern, because God is moving and God is definitely doing something in this season. And you have to be able to distinguish the next level. And sometimes the next level is birthed out through pains, adversities, trials, contrary winds. Because what happens is that when God is taking us to another level, sometimes your life would look contrary to what God said. But you have to be able to have the mind of Christ in order for you to push past those things and not get discouraged in it. You have to have a steadfastness in it. And anyone that's not walking in sonship, they're not going to be able to discern what it is that God's doing. It says a natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God. Why is that? Because to them, it doesn't make any sense. But you have to understand that sometimes God will tell you things that doesn't make sense. But you have to be able to believe. It doesn't make sense because we're busy looking at the things. We're busy looking like, okay, well, God told me that I'm going to get a house, but I'm looking at my credit score. I'm looking at this. We're looking at all these other factors, but God's word is exactly God's word, and you have to be able to be steadfast in that. And when you develop that sonship with God, you develop that mindset that causes you to override the natural. And sometimes you can't explain it. Again, you can't explain it to people that are in the flesh, because they're not going to be able to understand it. They're not going to have it. Those that are not in sonship with God, they produce, it's like a stagnancy, because they can only see at the level they're at instead of seeing beyond. When you're walking in sonship with God, you have the mindset to be able to see beyond your circumstances and beyond your situations. You have to have a prosperous mind in order to push through the contractions and the bursting pains for more. Because you know, okay, this is a pit stop. This is not the place that I'm in. This is a temporary moment, and God is trying to get me into a place that is greater. And I now have to fix my mindset. I have to fix how I think. I have to adjust my attitude, my ways of thinking, my understanding, and really get into a place of God and really submitting to the sonship of God in order for us to get the instruction. It isn't happenstance, neither bad luck, but when destiny calls, we have to be able to discern it. And again, a lot of times, because we see those contrary winds, because we see the things that's happening, we tend to stop pushing. But you have to be able to push past. Because a lot of times what happens is that when the pain comes, we're like, okay, well, this is not it. And we get fearful. But you have to override these things now. You have to get to a place where like, okay, enough is enough, and I know that God has more, and I know that what God said is true, and I know, okay, well, if God is saying it, then it has to be so regardless of what it looks like, regardless of circumstances and situations, regardless of whatever pains I may be going through. God's word is God's word, and it is absolute. And we have to make up in our mind to be steadfast on that thing. Sons are not wavered. You're only wavered when you're moving according to the flesh, when you're not moving in the sonship of God. Because you have to understand that God does not lie. His word does not return void. You can be able to discern between what is temporary, what is just for a moment of pain, in aspect to what is coming ahead, into destiny. You have to know, okay, the difference. Like, I'm going to continue to go on in God. Looking at verse 15, it says, the spiritual person judges all things, but is himself to be judged by no one. We cannot be moved by people's evaluation and what people say and say, okay, well, this doesn't make sense. I didn't ask you if it made sense. It doesn't matter your opinion. It matters what God told me, and I'm going to stand flat-footed on that thing. And we have to be able, you have to, instead of trying to evaluate what's going on in people's life, evaluate what God is doing with our lives. We have to evaluate and determine what God is doing. Recognize the hand of God and the timing of God. Because he moves in chronos time. He moves in a time that's beyond us. So you have to understand when there's an open heaven, there's an open window that's before you, there's an opportunity that's coming. Because what happens is that the adversities and the contrary winds, those are just distractions to get you to the place. Because if I can get you focused on the distraction, you'll miss the fact that the door is open right there. You'll miss your next level because you're so focused on what's going on. You're so focused on the pain. You're so focused on your shortcomings. You're focused on everything else but God and where he's taking you. And you have to elevate your mind past all of these things. You also have to make up your mind to move past people, move past situations. You have to be steadfast in it. You have to have a definite mind. It says we have the mind of Christ. Not possibly. It is a definite that we have the mind of Christ. So you don't have to keep asking, God, give me your mind. God, give me. You already have it. When we got adopted as sons, we already have the mind of Christ. So it's now for us to move in that thing. To move out of a place of where we used to be and out of our old comfort zone and move into a place of truly moving in sonship. You have to be able to look no longer in a Lodabar view and say, okay, well, I'm broke and I'm sick and I'm this. No, you cannot look in those places. I don't care if lying symptoms or whatever the case may be, what your bank account looks like, you can't look at those things. You have to be able to look at the word. He is the author and the finisher of our faith. He is the one that carries out his word to perform it. And you have to be able to stand steadfast on that thing. And turn our Bibles to Isaiah. Isaiah 55. 55, 9 through 12. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start with 8. He said, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, and neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. You have to understand the difference between revelation and sense. As sons, because when you're moving in the flesh, you're only moving according to senses. You're moving only according to what you see, what you feel, your limited understanding in our human mindset. And our human mindset cannot compare to the thoughts of God. Because when God, he moves revelatory. So he sees the things, he knows the things that we don't know. He knows the little intricate details. And you have to be able to listen to God and really tune your ears. Because sons sit at their father's feet. They sit at their mother's feet and they get instruction. They get wisdom. They get understanding. You have to elevate your thinking to match with God and what he says about your life and what he says about your identity and your purpose. Because all of that is part of prosperity. Prosperity, a lot of times we automatically think that it's about money. It's not about money. It's about every single area of our life. So it includes our money, but it's a wholeness. It's a whole factor. It's a whole part of a pie. It's everything included within it, and you have to elevate your mind to that next level. It says, for as the rain and the snow come down from heaven, and do not return there, but water the earth, making it bring forth and sprout, giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater. You have to understand also the importance of your seed. You cannot look at your financial situation and say, okay, well, I'm not going to give. He says, I give seed to the sower. There's a reason why he gives a seed to the sower. And even when we think about the vow that we made, it's not for you to be fearful, because what God is doing, he's stretching us to another level of faith. He's stretching us for the more that he has for us, because he has called Zion. He has called each and every one of us to a different level, to a higher level. And if we're really going to go forth and do this vision and do what God has called us to do, you need to be able to sow. You need to be able to have that faith. You need to have the currency, not just the currency of faith and the currency of the kingdom, but we have to have wealth here on earth to overtake, to have dominion, as he said it, because that's the will of God, to go forth and have dominion on the earth, kingdom dominion, to do his agenda, to do his purpose here on the earth. And you have to be able financially standing in that place to do what we need to do. Because a hallelujah, yes, it's going to break chains in the spiritual realm, but there's some things that money is going to activate and money's going to begin to do. And you have to have the prosperity mindset in order for you to get it. Because a lot of times in church, because we think that because we're in church that we can shout down the place, but then you're not affecting things. There's different realms and different spirits in the universe. You have to be able to move in all of them. You got to be able to move in the business realm. So it may not necessarily be behind the pulpit. Your ministry may be in having that business, because you're reaching souls, you're generating jobs, you're taking money from the kingdom of darkness, you're translating it into the marvelous light of God. You have to understand you're bringing that finance, you're bringing that wealth back into the kingdom. So you can't be scared to have millions, because the enemy's sure not scared. He's not scared to have millions. His people is not afraid to be blessed. They going out and they doing whatever, and they jumping off boats and ceilings and all kind of stuff, and they wasting the money. But what we do when we walk in the prosperity of God, we're doing God's kingdom agenda, because guess what? You can't get to Germany on a Metro card. You can't get there on a bike. So your ministry might be in something else. You might have the ministry of actually giving. That's a ministry within itself, of being able to sow. He said, I give seed to the sower, bread to the eater. You know what that means? It means you don't have to worry. You can move into a place where you're moving in the overflow, where you don't have to calculate what provision is needed. I don't have to worry about how my mortgage, because I don't have a rent, how my mortgage is going to be paid, and I can turn around and I can bless somebody else. I can give someone a house, and I know that, okay, we need shelters built, or we need a hospital built, or we need schools. You begin to think with an elevated mindset, like, what can I do for the kingdom of God? You move past yourself. It says in verse 11, so shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and it shall succeed in the thing for which I sent it. You have to understand God's word, again, is absolute. God's word is so absolute, he put it even above himself. That's why he said, remind him of his words. What do you think? I'll give you a good example. Kids have a way that they remember things. I told my daughter I'm going to get her a Kinder Egg. And she said, Mommy, first thing when she woke up this morning, Mommy, did you bring my Kinder Egg? I said, baby, I didn't get it yet, but I'm going to make sure you get it. But it's the same way she holds on to it, that childlike faith. She's like, okay, I know what my mother said. We have to know what God says and hold on to that thing. So she didn't see it, but she still has an expectation of it. And a lot of times we lose our expectation. You can't have a prosperous mindset and you're forgetting the things of God because life happens. You're getting shaken up because life happens. It will not return to God void. If it came out of his mouth, it will come to pass, because God is not a liar. His word will manifest itself. It will come into fruition. It shall succeed in the thing to which I sent it. So we don't have to worry, okay, well, what is my life going to be and how is this going to be? If God said it, it's going to happen. It is an absolute factor. But you have to move in a faith, and you have to move in a mode, in a mindset like, okay, God is going to do this thing. If I take the jump, God is going to be responsible for it because he told me to go for it. And I don't have to know the whole picture. I just know that I'm trusting trusting in the one that is, again, the author and the finisher of my faith. Which means if I jump, he's got the safety net. There is no failure in God. Even what seems like a failure is not a failure, because there's a lesson that comes out of it. There's a strength that comes out of it. There's absolutely no failures in God. He's bringing you to something. Verse 12, it says, "For you shall go out in joy and be led forth in peace. And the mountains and the hills before you shall break forth into singing, and the trees of the field shall clap their hands." Again, we're talking about having a prosperous mindset. You will have peace. So you're not looking at it again as just, okay, well, God's going to bless me financially, but I'm going to still feel miserable, or I'm going to still go. No, that's not it. God is going to give you the joy and the peace. As you're focusing in Him, He's going to complete your joy. He's going to complete your peace. He's going to complete your happiness. Everything that you need pertaining to life and godliness, God will do it. Turn to Philippians chapter 2, 5 through 6. It says, "Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in a form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but he emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men." Now, another version that I was reading, it says, existing in the form of God. A child, again, I'm coming back to the example of a child and a parent. A child is going to always mimic their parents. Whatever they see their parents do, they're going to do. So, like how our children, we pray and stuff like that, and we begin to see our kids, they begin to mimic it. It's the same thing. When you have that mindset of Christ, when you have the mindset of God, you're going to begin to mimic Him. You're going to begin to mimic and move the way that Christ wants. He says, "I only do what I see my Father do. My will is to do what my Father, whatever my Father says, that is what I do." So Christ has a mindset that goes beyond the sphere of mortal thinking. But His perspective is different, that all things are possible. So all things are possible if you believe. You have to stand with a believing mindset. Sons believe their father. Children, they believe, they hold on to the word of their parent, and they set their mindset to be just like their parents. Which is also why we're careful how we train our kids. To train a kid in the way that they shall go. So God is training us as sons in the way that we should go. Into that prosperous mindset, into an elevated mindset, no longer in a place of Lodabar, no longer in a place of seeing yourself low, but you're seeing yourself the way that God sees you. You humble yourself unto God in sonship, and you submit unto Him, and you submit to His instruction, and you'll begin to see Him begin to move in your life. Put things together, put your mind together, put your soul together, put your finance together. He will put every single area of your life together, and to be prosperous in all things. We are called to walk in dominion and power and authority and prosperity. Now, when we look up the word prosperous, it means successful, flourishing, thriving conditions, well-to-do, favorable, and wealthy. Flourishing. So again, it wasn't talking about just money. To flourish, it means to bloom, to grow, to constantly have fruit being bared forth, coming into fruition. That's the prosperity of God, and we have to get our mindset into that thing. That God is going to begin to flourish in every single area. Adam was in the garden, he was already prosperous, and he lacked nothing. And see, when the enemy came to whisper to Eve, and he became a distraction, and she ate of the fruit, that was the distraction there, because everything they already needed, God had already given unto them. He had already given the power and the ability. They were already in a prosperous place. And a lot of times the enemy will make you think that you're not in a prosperous place because of what you're going through or because of what you're looking at. He'll try to get you to think like, okay, well, I'm not blessed. No, you are the blessed of the Lord. You are the head and not the tail. And that's why confession is important. You have to meditate on the word, day and night. You have to keep the word in your mouth, because when contrary winds come, you have to be able to speak to that thing the same way that Christ would speak and say, peace, be still. You have to be able to be steadfast in it. He had godlike ability, and it was what? Through sonship. What words or what life are you creating with the words that you are spewing, with the words that you are speaking? Are you speaking life? Are you speaking death? Are you speaking prosperity? Are you speaking poverty? Because our lives are a sum total of the things that we speak. So if we keep saying, I'm broke, you're going to be broke. If you keep saying, well, I don't know how the bill's going to get paid, and I don't know how this, well, you're going to keep being in that situation because you keep saying you don't know, when God already said, I supply all your needs according to my riches and glory. So you do know how it's going to happen because God already said it. Now it's for us to put the word in our mouth as sons, mimic daddy, and say what daddy said. Sorry. Genesis 12, 1-3. It says, now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So Abraham went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. We'll put a note on Lot. We are blessed to become a blessing. That talks about prosperity. You have to, again, we're stressing the fact that you have to have this mindset, because you can no longer be in a place of being on one level. There's so much more that God is doing, and it's a time where you really have to say, you know what, enough is enough, and we're going to get to this next level. It's time for us to come out of that place of complacency and really believe God, because a lot of times we say we believe God and we trust God, and then we don't, because we end up having emotional temper tantrums, and we end up having spiritual temper tantrums like toddlers. But you have to be steadfast in God. If you're going to believe God is absolute. You know that you are blessed in order to become a blessing. And looking at verse 4, it says, so Abraham went, and Prophetess Seuss, even as she was praying, she was talking about instruction. The Lord was talking about following the instruction. When God tells you to move, you have to be able to move at the time. Again, God is opening opportunities. He is opening a season of blessing, a season of harvest, a season of, he is doing so much. You have to listen for the voice of God. You have to have your ears inclined. You don't have time to be in anything else but focus on God and really paying attention to the word that he is speaking. The word that he is speaking every time we come into this house, the word that he is speaking through our prophet, we have to be able to hear God and really move on the word. Don't just sit on the word and say, hallelujah, that was a great word, and then you go home and then you act like you never heard it. You would be like the man that looked in the mirror and you forgot your reflection. You have to remind yourself, constantly keep that word. Go replay the word. Go reread your notes. Keep that thing playing in your mind over and again, over and over again. And you also have to watch the people around you, because guess what? They have to have a prosperous mindset as well. Because guess what? If you're hanging out with broke people, you always going to have a broke mentality, because you can't have a gold bar and a silver bar and they not mesh after a while. You have to separate yourself from anybody that's not moving in a prosperous mindset. Anybody that's moving in a place of negativity. You have to be able to get up and out of the situation, out of the circumstances. You have to be able to move and remain steadfast, because guess what? Where you're going, you can't let anything hinder you. You can't let anything stop you. Now, when we look, we see Abraham, he took his wife, and then he took his cousin Lot. Now, Lot tagged along, but eventually he caused issues, because guess what? He never understood. He was never walking in that place. He wasn't supposed to be there. He didn't have a prosperous mindset. He was riding on the coattail. You have to have that mindset for yourself. I can't force you to have that mindset. I can't force you to think that God is going to bless, that God is going to heal. If you're still talking the same way that you talking 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever amount of time years ago, then it's time for us to, guess what? I love you, but we're going to part ways now, because I'm going on a higher level. And if you're not talking the same talk, we're not talking the same language, there's a miscommunication, obviously. So it's best that we go for our own separate ways. You got to be careful, because where God is taking us, it is so important, and it is so life-changing, and it is such a great thing that God is doing. You have to be careful. You have to watch yourself. You never saw Sarah complain. She submitted to it, and she went with him. Can you imagine? He came home and he was like, babe, okay, we getting ready, we gonna go. God said go. And she was like, all right, that's what you call ride or die. She was like, all right, let's go. We going. She didn't ask no question. And you have to get to that place where you're surrounded with people that think the same way that you think. When I move, you won't move. You won't go ahead just like that. When I move, you move. We're gonna go. We're gonna go get the blessings of God. We're gonna go to this next level. We're gonna go to the next dimension. God has more for us. You have to have that elevated mindset, and the people around you have to have that mindset as well. You have to surround yourself with prosperous folk, not just only focusing, not just the word, but even your surroundings have to be prosperity. Even the way that you think, your attitude has to be prosperous. You have to remove negative thinking, negative thoughts. And sometimes it's not just people. You got to remove the negativity that used to be. You got to remove your old self. And you have to come into a place where God has called you to be. I saw, I think it's either a video clip or something, and it was like, watch out for the people that stay broke, stay tired, stay this, stay that. You got to watch out for those people. Because they want to remain stuck or stupid. And I want to be in God's glory, and I want to go ahead of them. I don't have time for drama. I don't have time for all this other stuff. I don't have time for being broke. No. There's a purpose that has to be done. There's a will that has to be done. God has stuff for us to do here on this earth. There are lives that need to be changed, that need to be transformed. There's people out there that is really in need, and we are the solution to the problems that people have. God has sent us as his representative. We are the ambassadors of the kingdom. Now, how the ambassadors going to go forth and they don't have anything? How the ambassadors going to go forth and they don't have the mindset of Christ? The people got to pray for you more than you praying for them. You have to have that same likeness of mind. Psalm 82, 6 and 7. It says, I said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. Nevertheless, like men you shall die, and fall like any prince. Again, words either give life or give death. Your thoughts. It's not just the things that you utter. It's, again, your mentality, what you think. Because you can say one thing out of your mouth, and in your head you're saying another thing.
Yes.
And that's the reason why you keep seeing a repeated cycle, because your mind and your mouth are not matching. There has to be a unity in that.
Sorry.
You have to have a prosperous mind, not an impoverished one. Now, if God made us in his image and he made us to speak like he speaks, he says, you are God, sons of the Most High. We have the ability to create. We have the ability to speak as God speaks. We have the ability. He has given that unto us. But nevertheless, it says, like men, what? You shall die. If you don't speak or change your language, then you remain in the same place. A prosperous mind must agree with God in order to walk in it. You have to know that you are a millionaire. You already have to know that you are already healed, that you are already in a place where God has you to be. You can't look at the things in the natural sense. You have to look on a spiritual sense and a spiritual level. You have to call those things. In Romans 4 and 17, it says, speak not what you see. You have to call those things not as though they are. Call it into existence. 4:17, I'll read it. It says, as it is written, I have made you the father of many nations in the presence of God, in whom he believed, who gives life to the dead, and calls into existence the things that do not exist. And in hope he believed against hope that he should become the father of many nations, as he has been told, and so shall your offspring be. And he did not weaken in faith when he considered his own body, which was good as dead, since he was about 100 years old, or when he considered the barrenness of Sarah's womb. No unbelief made him waver concerning the promise of God, but he grew strong in his faith as he gave glory to God, fully convinced that God was able to do what he had promised. And this is why his faith was counted to him as righteousness. Again, and you having that mindset, you have to know, you have to hope against hope. You have to hope knowing that regardless of what I see and what I may go through, that God's word is absolute. So I'm going to speak the same thing that God speaks. I'm going to mind the same thing that God minds. I'm going to put my focus only on the word alone. I'm not going to put it on Buki and them, because Buki and them can't take you to destiny. Buki and them can't take you to the place that God has you to be. They don't have the word of instruction, but God has the word of instruction for your life. You have to come up in your thinking. You have to elevate your thinking. You cannot stay in this place anymore. You can't stay in that stagnancy anymore. Something has to change. There has to be a shift, and you have to want it. You have to desire it more than anything else. Because it's either the change is going to happen or the change is going to happen without you. It's either you're going to be in it or you're going to get left behind. But God is moving. You got to get on the train while it's going. You have to get your mindset in that place while it is going. And again, despite whatever the facts that you see, you have to walk in the truth. What is the truth? God's word is the truth. Because people will always come to you with numbers. And people will always come to you with factors and situations. And okay, well, this is going on. And okay, well, how's your family going to get saved? Because they still drinking, they still smoking, they still this. I didn't ask you all of that. I know what God said to me. I know God said pray without ceasing. So it is a prosperous mindset that I know that, okay, God is going to set them free. God's going to deliver them. Every single area of life is not just one area of life that you're looking at. It's in everything that you take a prosperity mindset. When you're going to that job, you know each and every day that you go in there that is not your source, that God is your source. That one day you're going to be that business owner and that God is getting you prepared in the place. He's teaching you certain things when you're going on the job. He's teaching you time management and even the position that you may have. He's creating for you the education that you need in order for you to start that business. Because now you're seeing how things are run. He's putting a seed within you. Again, coming back to seed to the sower. He's planting a seed within you for you to be able to take the information that you learn while you're on that job and apply it now. You take those skills and you apply it now. And then you put it towards your business. Because now you understand responsibility. Because with blessings come responsibility. You're paying attention. You're coming to a place of maturity. Because in order for you to have a prosperous mind, you have to have maturity. You can't be in an immature place. Because again, it comes back to you having emotional temper tantrums. You'll be like a monkey in a cage. You don't know if you're coming or going. One day you believe God, one day you don't. It's either you believe Him or you don't. And you have to be able to stand flat-footed in the Word of God. Turn our Bibles to Galatians. Chapter 3. 6 through 9. It says, just as Abraham believed God and it was counted him as righteousness. Know then that it is those of faith who are the sons of Abraham. And the scripture foreseeing that God would justify the Gentiles by faith, preached the gospel beforehand to Abraham, saying, in you shall all nations be blessed. So then those who are of faith are blessed along with Abraham, the man of faith. We are prosperous not because of our works. There's nothing that we can do within ourselves, but our faith is the vehicle that brings us to prosperity. Faith in God's word, trusting. He counts it as righteousness. It's not because you dot every I and you crossed all your T's and you did everything. He perfects everything else, and God's not focused on that. God is focused on you coming to a place of having maturity. Because guess what? When you enter into a prosperous mindset, all those other things will correct itself. So you're not looking at those things. God didn't bless us because we did everything right. God blessed us because He just called us to be a blessing. We just inherited it to be our heir. We are heirs with Christ. So we already inherited the moment that He adopted us as sons. We already inherited everything that we need. So we have to believe on that thing. Because when you look at Abraham, he believed regardless of what. And he used to be an idol worshiper. God didn't look at all those things. He just said, I called you the father of faith, and I've blessed you to be a blessing. So you have to look at it and shed those old things. You have to shed and dare to believe. Shed labels, shed whatever it is that you went through. Shed all of those things, leave it behind, and really put yourself in a place and say, you know what, I'm the righteousness of God. I'm prosperous because God said so, and I'm blessed to be a blessing. It says, along with Abraham, the man of faith. We are already blessed. We are already heirs of Christ. We are already called to live in a different sphere. We're not called to just one level. We're not called to just one dimension. We're not called to be boxed in. God has created us to be thinkers, to be people that will overtake the earth and really have dominion and really move in the things of God and really show that God is real, that people will give glory unto God. Because guess what? The people out there, they're not going to look at a track in order for them to believe that God is real. They're looking for the tangible things. Because guess what? When they're looking at those who are in the world, they're looking at the Alicia Keys and all those other people, and they're doing doing philanthropy and stuff like that, they're looking at it, but they don't understand that the enemy moves in the world in those things. So you have to be able to come with the glory of God now and move and take over those atmospheres and take over those realms, take over in fashion, take over in all these other different aspects, and just really show the glory of God. Really stand as the sons and be different, because people are going to look at you and say, what is different about you? They need to see tangible things. Again, coming back to the first scripture, it says a natural man is not going to understand. To them it is nonsense. But to them they understand money though. They understand prosperity though. They understand peace though. When they go through enough hell and they say, okay, well, if you went through all of this, how is it that you didn't lose your mind? Because I have a prosperous mind. Because I have a prosperity. I have an overflowing amount of joy, an overflowing amount of peace, an overflowing amount of God in my life. And that's the thing that is going to be able to witness unto them. That's the prosperous mindset that you have to have. Like, yes, okay, trials happen, life happens, adversity happens, mistakes happen, but guess what? God is good, and you have a prosperity. You have an overflowing of God. You have an overflowing of his mentality, of who he is, of what he is. And that is what is going to be able to witness unto people. He justifies us. We don't have to worry about those things. I'm going to read John 3, chapter 2. Verse 2, excuse me. Chapter 2, Lord. It says, Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you, and that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul. So again, God wants every area. A lot of times it's like, okay, the enemy will make you think that God doesn't care about the minor details of your life. Like, it's okay, well, you just have to do his purpose, you have to do his assignment, and God don't care about anything else. That's not true. That's not true at all. God cares about every single detail. The minute things that we don't think that God may care about, he cares. That's why he said that I pray that all may go well with you, that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul. He does care about those things. He does care about you having peace. Because there's no way that you're going to serve God and then your children are crazy, or your home is going crazy, and God doesn't care about those things. He does care about those things, and he will put all those things together. Or, you have the wealth, but then you're sick in your body. God cares about those things. And you have to know that he absolutely cares about those things, that he does want you to be prosperous in every area. That's why it says in Jeremiah 29, I know the plans that I have for you. They are plans for your good, plans to prosper you, plans for you. He says, I'll make the way successful before you. He constantly says it in his word. He says it in Joshua, meditate on my word day and night, and I will make the way before you. I'll make it plain before you. He makes crooked ways straight before you. He cares about all of those things. He does have a plan. He does have a purpose. God does care about the intricate details of your life. He wants you to prosper in every area, and you have to have that mindset, holding on to it, that regardless of what, your attitude and your position is important. You have to be able to stand steadfast in the mindset of prosperity, and let nothing shake your mind back into a place of thinking lack. Take lack out. Take it out your vocabulary. Take it out your mindset. Take it out completely. As a matter of fact, we're scratching it out. We don't know what the word lack means. Well, I don't know. Talk about, I don't know what that is. I know prosperity. I don't know poverty. You got to be able to stand fast on it. And I was watching a trailer for Venom, and he was meditating. It came back to my mind. He was laying down and the symbiote took over. But he was meditating and it overtook him after a while. And you have to let the word overtake you. You have to let the word become you. You have to let prosperity become you. You have to engraft yourself in prosperity. Read every scripture on prosperity. Meditate on everything. If it's healing, it's prosperity and healing that you need, meditate on all the healing scriptures. If it's financial increase that you need, meditate on everything concerning finances. Meditate on everything concerning houses. Meditate on everything on taking over lands. Meditate on it until it becomes you, until it overtakes you utterly and completely, until it changes everything about you. It'll begin to change the way that you think, the way that you talk, the way that you dress, because guess what? You're no longer going to dress like a bum, because you're saying, well, guess what? I'm a millionaire, so I'm going to dress like it. That's right. I'm going to upgrade myself in every area of life. I'm a woman of God. I'm a man of God, so I'm gonna act like it. So it means when I'm walking down the street, I'm not gonna be like yo and stuff like that. I'm gonna carry myself with the glory of God. I'm gonna carry myself with all that God is, with the prosperity of God's Spirit in us. We're gonna walk with that mindset. And you have to be able to have that word take over you completely. Have that mentality of prosperity overtake you in this season. Because God is really bringing us to that place. And you really have to dare to believe God like never before. You can't waver. This is not the season to waver. Because God is absolutely moving. And we will see the hands of God. We have to submerge ourselves in everything that He is saying. And everything that He's saying about prosperity. Submerge yourself until it becomes you. Submerge yourself until you have no other thought process. Until it breaks chains and cycles and things in your own mindset and around you. Until your life begins to change. And you have to know that it's going to cause an upheaval of some things. Yes. Be prepared for the upheaval. It's okay. You're gonna make it through it. Be prepared for the upheaval, because guess what? You're making room. Because when they start turning, when the harvest comes and they send the machine, I don't know if it's a tractor trailer, but when the machine starts like turning and going, it's upturning and it's separating all the good harvest. It's separating the seeds, it's separating the earth, it's separating the corn, it's separating everything, and it's separating the weeds from it all. So you have to know that as you're going to a place of a prosperous mindset, there's going to be a separation, there's going to be an upheaval of some things. So don't look at it like, oh my God, what's happening? No, the hand of God is happening. The Spirit of God is moving. And He's taking you to a higher dimension, because there's got to be a pruning and there's got to be a cutting away of some things. There's got to be a cutting away of some mindsets. There's got to be cutting away. It might be naturally and it might be spiritually, but there's going to be a cutting away, because there is a greater level. You can't let anything rob you of destiny. You can't let anything rob you of the prosperity that God has for you. Because a lot of times we went through too many things. You've been through too much. You've been through hell and back. So once you hit the bottom, it's like you can only go up from there. Once you've been through all the hell that you done been through, you can only go up from there. Once you done been broke as a joke, you can only go from being up. You can only go into a place of prosperity now. I know what it is to eat beans from a can and sit in there making franks. Now it's time to live a better life in God, to show forth the glory of God. And again, it's not coming back on I'm just thinking about me, myself, and I. Now you understand. It talks about how Jesus, He understood the affliction. He understood the pain of His people. So it's not like He went through something that He didn't understand. So now again, it's not like we go through something that people don't understand. It's not like we can relate to people like, you know what, I've been there, sis. I've been there, bro. And you know what, I'm not just going to tell you it's going to be okay. I'm going to help you. Yes. You need your rent paid, you need help, I'm going to help you. Let me write you this check, and I'm going to still tell you the word. I'm going to still tell you about God. I'm going to still tell you how to get yourself together. I'm going to still tell you how to have a prosperous mindset. You have to move into a new level and a new realm. Prosperous thoughts, let it flood your mind like never before. Become the solution. Know that there is a greater purpose to our prosperity. It's not just something, again, for us to be like, oh, we wearing fancy clothes, and yeah, you're going to have all those things, and we're going to enjoy it. Why? Because we're going to be living off the overflow. Because the more that you do for God, and the more that you sow for God, and the more that you represent God, is the more that He can trust you to bless you. It's the more that He's going to pour onto you. It's the more that He's going to give unto you, because He knows that you're not going to be a filthy lucre with it. He knows that you're not going to hold on to it for yourself, because you have a heart to give, a mind to give, and a heart for His people the way that He has a heart and a love for His people. He's like, okay, I can trust you with this wealth, because you're not going to go off and buy 5 Maseratis, and then you're going to see a mother with her 5 kids, and you're not going to help her out. You're not going to get her a van so she can take her kids to and from school out of the cold. You have to have that mindset. You have to elevate your thinking to another level. You have to have a prosperous mindset, not a greedy mindset, a prosperous mindset. You got to know that you're going to be able to help somebody, to pray for somebody, to pray them through when they're going through the worst of situations. Why? Because you have an overflowing abundance of joy and peace. So now I can help you out, and I can give this unto you, and I can sit down and I can listen and not judge you, because I've been in your seat. We really have to be able to get our minds into a place of prosperous thinking, to get really into a mentality. That is the part of walking in sonship with God, is knowing that we have an absolute covenant with God, knowing that He is taking us to a greater dimension, knowing that this season is a different season. It's not like any other season that we've seen before. The best is yet to come. God is moving. God is doing something, and you have to remain steadfast. You have to listen to the instruction of the Lord. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it as lightly. Don't take it as a joke. Like, okay, well, I always hear that. No, that's the problem. You always hear it, but you do nothing with it. You hear it, but you're not listening to it. You hear it, but you're not taking it in. You got to be able to take it in and know that God is absolutely moving, and stand fast on it. So far, the scriptures. You receive all the Pastor.